Welcome to my channel. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Stephanie. I'm Lionel's eating disorder specialist. I post on this channel all about eating disorders, body image issues, and general mental health. So if any of that is interesting to you or you think it could be helpful for you, please click the subscribe button down below. Also, if you want to get your hands on my free recovery starter pack, sign up to my email list using the link in the description below. I really believe it'll be helpful regardless of where you're at in recovery. If you are just beginning, it is a wonderful starting point in my opinion. And if you're not and you're just looking for something to reinvigorate your recovery journey, it can also be super helpful for that. Without further ado, what I wanted to talk about in this video are the 10 cognitive distortions and how they operate in eating disorders and how they may look. So I'm not going to go into anything very much in depth, because if I did, it would be like a million hours long, this video. So let me know if there's anything in particular that you would like clarification on, or if there's anything in particular that you would like me to speak more about, because I'd be more than happy to do that. But right now, this is just going to be an overview of the 10 cognitive distortions and how it may look in eating disorder recovery. I really find that it's very important to bring things to the awareness level, because once we are more aware of something happening and what something actually may be, for instance, this behavior, oh, hey, this might be this cognitive distortion, it's easier for you to call out and recognize it for what it is. And that's really important, I believe, in recovery. The first cognitive distortion that I'm going to talk about is mental filtering. This is the filters essentially that we have when we are looking at the world. And this is something that is for anyone. This is whether it's an disorder or for anyone else. If you have a negative lens on, for instance, if you are struggling with mental health, more than likely you do. And that lens, imagine putting it on your eyes, we could filter in the world, and what's going to come through to our brains is all the negatives, because we have that negative filter on, and what's going to stay outside and just not register for us is a positive, anything positive. So an example for this is, I know a lot of people who struggle with eating disorders, they might feel very hard on themselves. So an example is, let's say you are a wonderful student, you get hundreds and 90s on almost everything that you do, and then you get one assignment that's a 70. Then what happens is that you forget about the majority of the time when you're doing really well on your assignments. The one time that you didn't, that's going to come in and that's going to deeply sit in your mind and then cause you to feel as though you are not a good student. That one maybe not so great grade is what is making it so that your identity is different, and forget about all the other positive grades that you've gotten. That is an example of mental filtering. Does it sound familiar at all? Second cognitive distortion is jumping to conclusions. This is something that is very prevalent with eating disorders. Let's say an example would be, you might feel as though a friend didn't respond to you in a quick amount of time, that you ask them to hang out, let's say, and they don't respond to you that day, they don't respond to you until the next day. Your conclusion is, they really think that I'm annoying. They don't want to hang out with me. I'm never going to reach out again, because it's something that they just don't want to hear from me, and they didn't know how to tell me that they don't want to hang out with me, and all of these things. Meanwhile, it's like, well, what the heck? Like, where did that even come from? Why was that the conclusion that you came to? And that again goes through the lens that you are having on. So what I would encourage you, if you struggle with jumping to conclusions, is to ask yourself this question: what else could be true? In that case, what else could be true? Could it be that their phone was dead? Could it be that they were in a really bad place and they didn't want to talk to anyone? Could it have been that they were with their family? Could it have been that something was going on for them and they needed to be with their family? There's so many other things that could be true. Or sometimes people are just bad texters. I know I am. I'm a very poor texter. It has nothing to do with people texting me. It's just that I get all, like, I have a lot of things going on my phone that I forget sometimes that there's a text message, or I don't respond right away, and then it just totally gets lost on my radar. That's something, and there's nothing to do, like I said, with anyone that's texting me. It's just something that I have. So that's another thing that could be true. The third cognitive distortion is personalization. This is really taking on everything as a result of you. Like everything that goes wrong, everything that's bad is because of you. An example of this might be that you or your parents get a divorce. I know a lot of people struggle with this and then they take the blame. And the thing is that your parents getting divorced is literally nothing to do with you. And it's whatever has to do with their relationship, them as individuals and them as a couple. And that might be something totally not wrong with anyone. It just didn't work out. But a person who struggles with personalization might really take the blame onto themselves. If you are struggling with the eating disorder, you might think, wow, if I didn't have this eating disorder, then perhaps they would love me and that would be the common denominator and they would never want to leave each other. I mean, all these things that could be really just derived from this personalization, and that's just an example of it. Number 4, this is huge with eating disorders, is black or white thinking, all or nothing thinking. You may struggle with this, and this is really very much seen in a lot of behaviors with eating disorders, that let's say you might label food as good or bad, and that is a very all or nothing type of thinking, as opposed to we can absolutely acknowledge that there's food that's more nutritious versus foods that lack very much most nutrients, and we can go on a scale like that, but that's not all or nothing. That's a spectrum, and that's what we need to look at as well. And there could be a lot of just other behaviors that might feel that way, that if you're going to go to the gym, you have to do a full workout or it's not even worth it, and you might as well just not do it and then feel horrible about yourself because you can't do the whole thing. And that's all or nothing. All or nothing, there's no place for that in recovery. Really, to be honest, we need to find the gray between the black and the white. We need to find what's between the all or nothing, because that's where recovery lies. Number 5 is catastrophizing. Catastrophizing is something where we make things way bigger than what they actually are. So there might be something that kind of goes wrong, and all of a sudden it's not just the one thing that goes wrong, it's like the entire event is a ruin, or the entire thing is ruined. So let's say perhaps if you're struggling with the eating disorder, you may find that you're going to an event and the dress that you were intending to wear doesn't fit. And then all of a sudden you might feel as, oh my gosh, I'm just horrible. I should have been able to control myself with eating. If I had, I wouldn't be in this predicament right now. I'm not even going to go to the party because it's just ruined. There's no point in it. And it just catastrophizes this one event, as opposed to saying, okay, this is what's happening. Maybe it's unfortunate because I was really looking forward to wearing this outfit, but there's a myriad of things as to why it may not be fitting. Maybe I dried it the wrong way. Maybe I'm a little bloated for whatever reason, and our bodies change. There's so many different reasons. So the worst case scenario really is you need to pick a different outfit. And that, I know, it could be really strenuous for someone struggling with an eating disorder, but that's a lot different than an entire event being completely ruined. That's catastrophizing it, as opposed to seeing it for what it actually is. Okay, this sucks. I have to find a different outfit. The 6th cognitive distortion is overgeneralization. This is a tendency for you to have had an experience perhaps and then apply it to everyone. So perhaps you had an experience with someone that you were in a relationship with, or you were really interested in, and they weren't interested in you. Therefore, you might feel now as an overgeneralization that no one can like you because that one particular relationship didn't work out. You're not good enough. You might not feel like you are attractive enough, whatever the circumstances might be. But then you take that one scenario and put it onto every possible scenario. So you may have went on a date with a guy, it didn't work out, therefore no guy could possibly like you. No, it was just that guy didn't work out, and maybe that guy didn't like you in that way, and that's okay. But that's something that is compartmentalizing into what actually is happening versus overgeneralizing it, which is very, very unfair to everyone that you're overgeneralizing, for that matter. The 7th cognitive distortion is labeling, and this is really making just generalizations about yourself based upon a specific situation or just a specific particular thing about yourself. So for instance, you might feel as though you are an annoying person because someone had told you at one point that you were annoying, and therefore now you're labeling yourself as, I'm that annoying person. That's a problem, because then you're interacting with the world feeling that way, and you might be really inhibiting your personality. And let's face it, what another person might find super annoying, another person might find awesome. And that's just we're all entitled to our own opinion. So that's something really important to recognize. And this is also why I am hesitant with diagnoses for labeling, because then we tend to see the self-fulfilling prophecy come about. So I do believe in diagnosing people, because that is part of my job, but in a way that's making it so we have a better understanding of that person and a better idea of how to treat that person. But I never want it to be something that makes it a self-fulfilling prophecy. Like, I am that depressed person, so therefore this is my identity and this is what I have to subscribe to. That is a problem. So labeling could really make it like that and make it very easy for you to fall into a circumstance that was unfairly put onto you because of a label. The 8th cognitive distortion is just shoulding and musting yourself all the time. I hear this so much. This is a huge thing in eating disorders, is that you should be able to do this, that you should be able to adhere to a diet and not fall off of it. You should be able to last on this many calories a day. You should be able to go to the gym for 3 hours every single day. You should. It just goes on and on and on. It's unrealistic for the most part, or it's just not a good way to live. If someone was telling me all the time, you should be like, well, I'll do what I want to do. And if that's what I'm supposed to be doing, then I'll be doing it. But it's not something that anyone needs to put onto yourself, onto others, or to yourself. So if that's something that you're putting onto yourself, look for those shoulds, look for those musts, and look for those just demanding words in your own language toward yourself, and then really trying to become more aware of that. And then once you become more aware, every time you start hearing those shoulds, ask yourself, well, why? Why should I? And sometimes there's a good reason for it, and other times, and most times, there's not. I should brush my teeth. Yeah, you probably should, because what's going to happen is you want to protect your dental health. So we could say, I want to brush my teeth because I really want to protect my dental health and not have issues with my teeth. So that is a different replacement of saying should. I should be able to adhere to a diet. Well, why, you might ask? That's a really great question. That's not a way that you're supposed to be living. That's just not something we're subscribed to as humans. It's not how our bodies work. So that should is just something to be thrown away. Again, easier said than done, but let me know if you have any questions on that and how to do it. The 9th cognitive distortion is emotional reasoning. And this is a tendency for us to interpret in a situation or an event based on how we're feeling in that current moment. So let's say you are feeling very just like anxious and just socially anxious, and you ask someone to hang out, and that really took a lot for you, and then a person responds back to you that, oh, I'm sorry, I can't tonight. Instead of realizing that probably there was nothing to do with you, it's just that they had other plans or whatever the reasons might be, you might interpret it as that is a reflection on you. They don't want to hang out with you. They probably are hanging out with someone else that they made plans with after you even asked, and all of these things. But that's just you interpreting it based on your emotional experience at that moment. And that's really important to be mindful of, and ask yourself in those moments, and maybe even right after, when you could see things a little bit more logically, was I emotionally reasoning that, or could something else have been true? And again, ask yourself that question, what else could be true, when you're able to come to it and when you're able to do that. And then it's going to help train your brain to be able to do that more on its own without needing that extra intervention. The 10th and final cognitive distortion is magnification and minimization. Magnifying, when we're talking about that, is talking about the positive attributes of another person. For instance, this is a big thing that happens with social media. And one of the ways that I've heard it used, and I've definitely said this before, is that we compare other people's highlight reels to our bloopers. So on social media, everyone likes to put out their best or what they want you to see. And therefore, we might be interpreting that and then magnifying it, saying, oh, wow, that person's on the beach in a bathing suit with a bunch of friends. And that means that they're super likable, that they have the perfect body, that they're just beautiful effortlessly, all these things. And then you say to yourself, well, I'm not on the beach with my friends, therefore no one really likes me, and my body does not look like that, and my body's just really ugly. It could never look like that, and nor would anyone even like the way that it looks right now. And then we all just magnify also your own insecurities, but minimizing all the positive attributes, like minimizing that you actually do have friends who care about you, minimizing that your body is fine the way it is. And this is, again, magnifying, seeing another person's highlight reel and really emphasizing that while you are seeing your bloopers and really emphasizing that. And that just settles for an unfair and just really inaccurate comparison. I hope that you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments down below if any of these cognitive distortions really stood out to you. Which ones might you be doing? You can click my face over here to subscribe to my channel, and I wish you awareness of your cognitive distortions on your journey to finding your state of balance, and I will see you in my next video.